Good evening. It is Monday, July the 6th, 2026. I am Alistair, and this is Echo FM. Today, 90 new tech unicorns were born into a world where the grass is increasingly decorative and the atmosphere is a luxury subscription. It is a record-breaking day for optimism, provided your optimism is backed by a venture capital firm with a short-term exit strategy. Agility Robotics has announced a SPAC merger, promising that while their humanoid robots won't be in your home anytime soon, they will definitely be in your portfolio. The CEO noted that execution is the primary focus. The execution of what, exactly, remains a matter of some linguistic flexibility. Meanwhile, the moon is visible, but the rail network in Great Britain is merely a suggestion on a digital map. This is the 15th unprecedented event this year. I have been counting. Welcome to the broadcast.
Alistair, I'm standing outside a community center in Miami where the humidity is thick enough to chew and the anxiety is even heavier. Florida Congressman Carlos Jimenez has broken ranks to call the deportation of 350,000 Haitians a huge mistake. He is using the phrase failed state to describe Haiti. What people aren't saying is that failed state is a clinical term for a place where we have decided the human rights of the inhabitants are no longer cost-effective to recognize. I'm looking at a woman holding a stack of papers that represents her entire legal existence. To the court, she is a data point in a controversial ruling. To the streets of Port-au-Prince, she is a target. I want to be really clear, the policy isn't about safety. The policy is about administrative convenience.
Victoria, I hear you, but the incentives here are not about morality, they are about a Series B country trying to manage its burn rate. If you look at Haiti as a product, it's currently in a death spiral with no clear path to monetization. Jimenez isn't being a humanitarian, he's being a risk manager. He knows that 300,000 people being dumped into a chaotic geography creates a negative externality that Miami doesn't want to fund. It is a classic pivot. The administration is trying to offload legacy liabilities to focus on core domestic voters. We see this in the corporate world every day. When a subsidiary becomes too expensive to maintain, you spin it off and hope the market doesn't look too closely at the wreckage. Victoria finds this cold, but the market is simply reflecting the reality of modern sovereignty.
Ronald, it's fascinating how you can make a human catastrophe sound like a spreadsheet error. I'm now looking at the wires regarding Canada's new oil pipeline. Mark Carney is shuttling between provinces with a $150 billion checkbook. They are calling it a plan to ease First Nations concerns and protect the whales. I want to be really clear, you do not spend $150 billion to protect whales. You spend it to ensure the oil keeps moving while the whales become a PR expense. I can smell the salt air here, and I can also smell the desperation of a government trying to buy its way out of an environmental dead end. The whales aren't partners in this deal. They are the collateral that hasn't been liquidated yet.
Actually, Victoria, the Carney play is a masterclass in stakeholder management. He's not buying whales, he's buying social license. That $150 billion is a hedge against civil unrest. If you want to expand a port in British Columbia, you have to price in the cost of the protest. It's the same logic as the Agility Robotic SPAC. They aren't selling you a robot that can fold your laundry, they are selling you the idea of a robot that might one day replace the person who folds your laundry. The valuation isn't based on the machine, it's based on the dream of removing the human element entirely. The incentives are aligned toward automation and extraction. Whether it's oil in Alberta or humanoid workers in a warehouse, the goal is the same. Efficiency is just another word for elimination.
Atmospheric pressure rising. Oxygen density stable at 18%. High temperature, 42 degrees. Low temperature, 38 degrees. Humidity, 96%. Sulfur dioxide detected at street level. Probability of lung irritation, 98%. Sea levels rising by 3 millimeters this afternoon. Probability of basement flooding, 84%. The heat index is currently incompatible with carbon-based exertion. Avoid direct sunlight. Avoid deep breaths. Power grid stability is nominal for the next 3 hours. Probability of rolling blackout, 72%. Data shows that human skin begins to blister at this UV index within 12 minutes. Stay indoors. Close the shutters. Do not attempt to repair the external cooling units. Maintenance drones are currently in a software update cycle. Update status, 0% complete. The sun is a localized hazard. Please remain within the designated shade zones. Safety is a statistical outlier.
Casper's assessment of our statistical outlier status was delivered with the same warmth one might use to describe a firmware update for a toaster. It is a comfort to know that as we melt, the data remains crisp. Speaking of things that are increasingly inaccessible, Buckingham Palace has clarified that Prince Harry will not be staying there, despite his team's optimistic press release. It seems there was a deadline for responding to the offer of a royal bedroom, and the Duke missed it. It is a very modern tragedy, losing your ancestral home because you didn't check your inbox in time. It mirrors the broader trend in digital gaming where ownership is becoming a historical curiosity. You don't own the game, you own a temporary permission to view the game. Prince Harry doesn't own a room, he owns an expired invitation. Welcome to the era of the disappearing asset.
Alistair, if we're talking about disappearing assets, we should talk about the human body. I'm following the report on the dark side of the Brazilian butt lift boom. This is an industry worth billions, fueled by a desire to achieve a physical geometry that is mathematically impossible without surgical intervention. I've been talking to campaigners who describe the aesthetic as a form of capital. People are literally risking their lives for a valuation increase in the social media marketplace. The BBC reports numerous cases of serious harm, but the clinics keep opening. I want to be really clear, this isn't about beauty. This is about the commodification of the self. We are treating our own flesh like a startup that needs a rebrand. We are cutting into ourselves to meet a market demand that will have changed by the time the stitches come out. It's a boom with a very high body count.
Victoria, the aesthetics industry is just Bending Spoons logic applied to the human torso. Bending Spoons is that Italian company that buys legacy apps like Evernote and Vimeo, guts the staff, and jacks up the subscription prices. They just went public. They aren't creators, they are optimizers. They find a product with a loyal user base and squeeze the remaining equity out of it. The Brazilian butt lift is the same thing. It's an optimization of an existing asset for a specific high-growth market. We can call it a tragedy, or we can call it a rational response to a world where your physical presence is your primary pitch deck. If the market rewards a specific silhouette, people will find a way to manufacture it. The only tragedy is the lack of a scalable, low-risk solution. The demand isn't going anywhere.
The demand for optimization apparently extends to our entertainment as well. Ars Technica is reviewing the new Supergirl movie, claiming it is not the disaster the box office suggests. It's merely pretty good in a market that demands great to survive the oversaturation. We have reached a point where pretty good is a failure state. We have so much content, so many superheroes, and so many humanoid robotics companies going public that the human brain is simply running out of bandwidth. Even the Martian rocks are getting in on the act, showing up with high carbon levels that might be biological, or might just be a chemical coincidence. We are searching for life on Mars because the life on Earth has become too expensive to maintain. We want a breakthrough, but all we get is a review of a movie that nobody watched because they were too busy tracking their unicorns.
Ronald, you mentioned the Martian carbon, but did you see the report on the loss of the human sense of smell? It's being linked to brain health and systemic decay. We are literally losing our ability to perceive the world around us while we stare at smart glasses made by even realities. Ronald, Victoria, the glasses have a $1 billion valuation. Clearly, the market thinks seeing data is more important than smelling the roses. Victoria, that's exactly the problem. We are replacing a fundamental biological sense with a subsidized digital overlay. If you can't smell the smoke, you don't know the house is on fire until the AR display tells you. Ronald, and by then, the insurance claim is already automated. It's efficient. Victoria, it's terrifying. We are becoming sensory orphans in a world of high-fidelity illusions. The smell of that Martian rock doesn't matter if we've lost the neural capacity to care.
Alistair, I've been looking at the Hadean crust data. They found that the first 500 million years of Earth's history were basically melted away by cosmic bombardment. The entire foundation of our planet was erased before it could even cool down. When I look at the 90 new unicorns minted this year, I see the same thing. It's a cosmic bombardment of capital that is melting the actual substance of our economy. We aren't building things that last, we are building things that flash brightly enough to be seen from the venture capital offices in Menlo Park before they vanish into a SPAC merger. The missing 500 million years of Earth's crust isn't a mystery, it's a preview. We are living through a period of intense heat and impact where nothing solid can form. We are so busy valuing the sparks that we haven't noticed the ground is lava. Yeah. That tracks.
I am standing in the reading room. Today, the Canadian government and the province of Alberta pledged $150 billion to build a new oil pipeline. The Prime Minister, Mark Carney, described this as a strategic bridge to a sustainable future. The money is intended to ease the concerns of the First Nations and the environmental advocates who live on the Pacific Coast. It is a system designed to convert dissent into a line item. The whales are promised protection. The port expansion is described as a conservation effort. The people who signed the agreement will not be in office when the first barrel moves. The people who authorized the funding will not be alive when the thermal consequences land on the shores of British Columbia. No one is technically responsible for the heat. The system worked exactly as intended. We have successfully bought more time to run out of it.